Well, hello everybody on the internet. I hope you're all watching this video. Thanks for coming to my channel. My name is Stephanie Bree. And today I'm going to talk about Degrassi. Because, oh boy, do I have thoughts on Degrassi. I have been watching Degrassi since my youth. And I've seen a lot of Degrassi. I've seen more than my fair share of Degrassi. I'm an American, so you're probably wondering, how did I discover Degrassi in the first place? And no, it wasn't through that Nickelodeon spin-off TV channel. I don't even remember what it was called. Teen Nick or whatever the fuck it was called. I don't know. No, I was watching Degrassi long before then. And I wasn't watching it on PBS. So before I talk about Degrassi and its history and my experiences with it and my thoughts on it, I'm going to tell you a story of how I discovered it. So, when I was in 7th grade, which is where I discovered Degrassi, I was already at a point in my life where I was over being bullied. I was overweight. I didn't shower as frequently as I probably should have. I still have that problem. I'm bipolar, and I have other mental health issues. But anyways, I got bullied a lot. I was also the new kid all the time. And yes, in 7th grade, again, I was the new kid. So I had no friends. Well, I made friends with two groups of people. I made friends with the chess club. I don't even remember how I met the first person of the chess club that invited me. I knew nothing about chess, never played it, didn't know how to play it, am not good at it, do not like the game, am not a fan. But I hung out with the nerds from the chess club because they were the only kids that would talk to me besides the other kids. The other kids I made friends with were I'm just going to say the neurodivergent kids in the disability group, the kids with disabilities class, So I made friends with some of the neurodivergent kids because they were pretty friendly for the most part. And, at least one of them was in the chess club. So that was my social circle. Well, I'm going to say something, and I'm going to be careful with the language I use. But when you're friends with people with disabilities and you're already a target for bullies, the bullies notice. So I was additionally made fun of and beaten up for being friends with those kids. And I'm not going to say the word that they used. It was the medical term at the time, but I'm not using that word because I have a lot of friends who are neurodivergent, myself included, and I know how offensive that word is today. Needless to say, I got into a lot of fights. And I was not always the winner of those fights. And so, as a result, I got put in detention. And when I would either refuse to show up for detention or just walk out because I would get bored and I didn't want to be in there with the bullies, or would get in a fight with the bullies that I was in detention for fighting with earlier, because why in the fuck would you put two kids who were fighting earlier in a fucking classroom unsupervised? Why? I don't know. School administrators are fucking idiots. Anyways, I would either get in another fight with a kid and then it get escalated to the next level of behavioral correction, punishment, whatever you want to call it, which is in-school suspension. In-school suspension is where they put you in a separate room with a special administrator who observes you and makes you do your homework and tries to keep you on track and doesn't let you out for lunch and has to walk you to the bathroom and walk you back to the classroom, and it's bullshit, and doesn't let you socialize or interact with the other kids. Now, needless to say, they made the same mistake that they made with putting me in detention with the kids that were bullying me that I had gotten in fights with, as in, they also were escalated into in-school suspension, and once again, they're locking me in a room, a very small room, with the kid who I want to murder. So what do? Well, I start throwing books at the motherfucker, which again gets me in more trouble, and I get escalated. This escalates to the next level, which is two separate occurrences. The next level is one, Saturday detention, which is fucking stupid. This is my time. Saturday's my time. You don't get to take away my Saturday. So if you're going to take away my Saturday, you're going to have grumpy me. and I was grumpy. I was like, fuck you, I ain't even doing this. Uh, Spoilers, it was actually Saturday detention where I met the chess club because the nerds were in the library on Saturday, not by because they were being punished, but because they liked to go to the library on Saturday and play chess. So that's how I met the chess club in the first place. I know this is jumbling up the story, but I was getting bullied long before I met the chess club. But anyways, eventually I got escalated to Saturday detention, and I got removed from ISS and put in an elevated program. They didn't want to put me in juvenile hall just yet, although I was making court appearances where they were discussing it. It was an option that was on the table. They were just trying to keep me out of it. So the concession was I would be put in a behavioral correctional program. So the way the program worked was twofold. One, they had me attending anger management support group. Now, I've said this repeatedly in this video. I'm going to say it again. They put me in a support group for anger management with the motherfucker I wanted to kill. So it escalates. I'm just going to say that right now. And the second portion of this behavioral correction modification, whatever, program was they would take all the troubled kids, the bad kids, the behavioral kids, to a special classroom 1 hour a day, and they would show us videotapes of the television show Degrassi High. I don't know what was the purpose of this. I guess it was to give us something to do that wasn't school related, so that we could, like, I don't know, calm our brains down, or I don't know what the purpose of it was, but they forced us to watch Degrassi Junior High first, and then when we finished Degrassi Junior High, they made us watch Degrassi High, and then when we finished Degrassi High, they made us watch the movie. And I don't know what was the purpose of this. I just remember them marching us to this classroom and giving us our assigned seats to make sure I didn't sit within arm's reach of the kid I wanted to kill, because, you know, that's important, that you separate me from the kid I want to beat up, who's been beating me up. You know, it's just fucking common sense. Let's take a side step back to anger management group. So I walk into anger management support group, and there's a table. It's a round table. And they got metal chairs folding chairs around the table, and they got the kids sitting around the table. And the intended purpose of the support group was to sit down as a group and talk about your feelings and why do you want to beat this kid up and what can we do, blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't make it to the chair. I walk up to the folding chair, fold it in half, and I smack the kid in the back of the head. I just start beating him. I jump on top of him, and I start beating him with the folding chair. So I got escalated again. This time I have to go to court once again, and the courts are like, hey, you need to chill the fuck out. So then they gave me out of school suspension. They're like, you're just going to homeschool for a while. We're going to try that. And court mandated therapy. Well, I still wanted to participate in the Degrassi therapy? ? So they did let me go on campus during the Degrassi viewings. So it was, you know, show up, the security officer would escort me to the room. I would sit down, watch the episode of Degrassi that we were watching, and we would have discussion group afterwards. By the way, that kid was no longer in the program either. He had been shipped out to wherever the fuck they shipped him, thank God. So we didn't have to see each other ever again. And, you know, after the discussion group and they released us, the security guard would escort me off campus, and I'd walk home and do my homework, allegedly. I never fucking did my homework. And my state-appointed therapist, I'm going to get to Degrassi here in a minute, but this story is important. My state-mandated therapist recommended to my parents that we just move state. That was the recommendation. Just get this kid out of our state. We don't want to put this kid in juvie. And that's where this kid is heading. So if you don't get this kid out of our state, they're going to end up in juvie, and kids in juvie end up in prison. So if you want to help your kid, just move. Just get the fuck out of our state. That was what my therapist literally told my parents, who took that advice. And we moved to Idaho, which was better for me because, you know, Idaho was a much different state than where I had been in Nebraska. And so I ended up moving to Nevada. Years would go by, and I had forgot about Degrassi, but I remembered it in the back of my mind. And one year for Christmas, somebody got me a DVD of Jay and Silent Bob do Degrassi. And so I watched it, and I was like, what the fuck is this? This ain't Degrassi. So I went on the high seas, and I fished up old AVI files of all the Degrassis, starting with, I think it was Ida Makes a Movie was the beginning of Degrassi. And then after Ida Makes a Movie, there was Kids at Degrassi Street, which I watched every episode of. And then Degrassi Junior High, Senior High, the movie, and then Degrassi Next Generation, which I watched every episode of until it ended. And then I was like, all right, I'm good. So let's talk about Degrassi. There's at least 4 or maybe 5 different TV shows set in the Degrassi universe, and I don't know how connected they all are. Kids from Degrassi Street is I should say intermittently. It is loosely connected to Degrassi Junior Senior High, in that it's the same actors and actresses, but they're playing different characters, which is weird. And it's the same. The kids of Degrassi Street are the same kids who starred in Ida Makes a Movie, which is where Degrassi begins. So it's got a long history. So Kids of Degrassi Street did nothing for me. I don't even remember it. I know it was like what you're familiar with Degrassi. It was a kind of kids comedy, lighthearted family, school show. But it was also a serious drama that tackled serious issues like child abuse and things like that, and bullies and everything else. So it was kind of a weird show. It was like a kids show, but also like a serious kids show, which was weird. Because it followed the similar structure of your typical TV show in that it had 3 separate storylines going at the same time with each episode, following different characters. You would have one storyline, which was the morality lesson of the day. You had the second storyline, which was the cautionary tale that, hey, bad things happen, be careful, who do you talk to if bad things happen. And then the third one was just like Saved by the Bell. It was just fucking dorky shit. Kids being kids. Like, just dumb shit. So it was a weird fucking show. I don't, looking back on it, understand how it kept getting renewed. But it did. To the point where the kids were getting too old to be on Kids of Degrassi Street. So they just took the same kids and shuffled everything around and renamed the show Degrassi Junior High. Which they did for a couple of years. And then they're like, it was the same format, same show, same kids, just different actors and backstories. And then what they did was, oh, the kids are too old to be in junior high. Now it's Degrassi High, which they did for however many years or seasons kids are in high school, which culminated in the movie Degrassi, the movie, whatever it was called. I don't remember what it was called. It was kind of like the Saved by the Bell movie. It had a subtitle, but I don't fucking remember. And then those same actors and actresses, those same kids grow up, get jobs, have kids, and now those kids are in junior, senior high, Degrassi, and it's Degrassi: The Next Generation, where we're following the same characters we've been following since 1979, which is bonkers for a TV show. Same fucking kids. Now they're adults. Jesus fucking Christ, I don't know how they pulled it off. Kudos to whoever produced that show for fucking pulling it off. And so we get like throwbacks to the previous Degrassi stuff, but we also get like, hey, it's the 2000s now, so times have changed. Which does have a school shooting episode, which I want to talk about. and a teenager cutting herself episode, which I want to talk about, and sexually active teenagers, which I'm just going to kind of skip over. Because they did that in the old Degrassi shows too. They got a girl who got pregnant, and her kid is one of the main characters of the new generation, and she's one of the adult characters on the show. So, you know, it happens. So, the school shooting episode was fucking sick. It was like, holy shit, it was real. Now, they did a suicide episode in Degrassi High, which was traumatic and serious, and Jesus Christ, why is this in a kid's show? But the school shooting episode, I think, was more traumatizing and impactful, because it, like, fucking, like, affected me. And I was already done with high school and college and everything by this point in my life. So I was, like, not even anywhere near a school campus. But it still affected me. True story, sidebar. One of the actors of Degrassi Next Generation, who was a victim of the school shooting, actually left Degrassi to start a hip-hop career. And if you don't know who he is, his name is Drake. And he's one of the top dogs in hip-hop. If you don't know who he is, you've probably heard his name. You may recognize his face. You probably know his songs. When I learned that, I was like, okay, I'll check him out. And much like all new hip-hop artists that aren't G-Funk West Coast gangster rap artists from the 1990s, I wasn't impressed. But, you know, kudos to him for making a career. The next topic I want to talk about is, like I said, there was the girl cutting herself. She was a little redheaded girl. I do not remember her name. But I do remember... What I do remember is vaguely something about her home life not being right. I don't remember if her parents were abusing her or if they were neglecting her. But for some reason, she was cutting herself. And that was a very serious topic for a kid's show. I'm going to skip over the sexually active teenagers because kids have a right to have sex with other kids, or teenagers have the right to have sex with other teenagers. It's none of our business. They're discovering their bodies. Let them figure it out for themselves. It's our place to warn them of the dangers of STDs and teach them safe sex, and, you know, remind them that consent is mandatory, non-optional mandatory. Informed consent is non-optional mandatory. But beyond that, do what you want. Have fun. It's your life. So Degrassi also tackled things like, you know, hackers and bullies and STDs. There was the STD episode, which was drugs, drug abuse, you know, gangs, I guess, or criminal elements or whatever. There was a lot of stuff like that. And they also tackled, you know, alcoholic and abusive parents and, you know, touchy-feely, gross pedophile parents and stuff like that. Now, I have two fun facts, if you will, about Degrassi. They're not really fun facts, but they're bits of trivia. Bit of trivia number one of the main characters of Degrassi High, who went on to be an adult character in Degrassi The Next Generation, died alone in his cabin in the woods or whatever, somewhere in the country, and his body wasn't discovered for 5 years. Now, the reason why I bring that up and find it almost humorous is because there's a TV show called How I Met Your Mother, where one of the actors, one of the main characters is Robin Sparkles, and I was like, how realistic is it that you could be a big time celebrity in Canada and not even exist in America, not even be known in America? And then when I read that story about him having been dead for 5 years before he was found, I was like, oh, I guess it can happen, because Canadian celebrities aren't on the level as American celebrities, so American media don't report on Canadian celebrities. So yeah, a big time Canadian pop star could exist in Canada and have absolutely zero presence in America. I buy it. I believe it. Also, when I found out that there are whole bands who only exist in Canada that are like successful bands that Americans have never heard of, I was like, really? That's a thing? I guess. The other piece of trivia or fun fact or whatever is, well, two bonus facts. Well, three bonus facts. Three bonus facts just for fun. So, bonus fact number one, just for fun, Jay and Silent Bob, because Kevin Smith was a fan of Degrassi, I guess, made an appearance in a couple of different episodes of Degrassi. So there's a fun fact. It was called Jay and Silent Bob Do Degrassi, which is a weird out of place episode for Degrassi, but it was fun. It was a fun departure. You know, a nice little side quest. Also, I've already mentioned this, but a kind of fun fact is Degrassi got its roots in a short film starring literal children, like 5 and 6 year old age children, who made a movie on 8 millimeter film called Ida Makes a Movie. If you haven't seen this movie, you can find it on the high seas, or it might be on YouTube, so go check it out if you haven't. This is the literal genesis of Degrassi. This was the, sperm fertilizing the egg. It's about to give birth to Degrassi. You can skip over Kids of Degrassi Street. You can skip over Degrassi Junior High. I recommend starting with Degrassi High. Skip the movie. It's not important. And then go straight into Degrassi The Next Generation. And that's your Degrassi canon. My last bit of trivia / fun fact is Netflix has a modern, I want to say reboot, but I don't know anything about it, of Degrassi. Which I don't know how it's connected to the previous Degrassis, if at all. There did come a point where Degrassi The Next Generation dropped The Next Generation and just became known as Degrassi, which isn't all that important, but confusing because every iteration of Degrassi had some subtitle, and then that one dropped the subtitle, which is like, okay. I know nothing about the history of how Degrassi came about, the production, the creators, nothing. I don't know any trivia about that because I don't fucking care. I watched the show. I'm good. It was one of those shows that I watched because I was forced, kind of, to as a kid, as a teenager. And it has a soft spot in my heart because of, it helped me get through some troubling times. It really did. It helped me realize that, hey, maybe my bully isn't the end of the world and I can survive without him or without killing him. It also helped me, learn to talk to other kids, which I eventually did. And spoilers, I was student council president of my high school. So eventually I came out of my shell and became a popular kid, where I was no longer bullied because I was the king of my school because I was, male presenting back then. And I was. I'm not making this up. I was the most popular kid in my high school. DJ of the proms and school dances. I mean, I was like the cool kid. My little clique, we were the group of cool kids everybody wanted to be. Everybody came to us. We were invited to all the parties. It was pretty fucking awesome. So my high school experience was like fucking awesome. My grade school and middle school experiences, if there was a pill or a flashy thing from Men in Black that could erase memories, I would take it and erase those memories. But I'd keep my high school memories because fucking high school rocked for me. I was the king of my school. And I fucking loved it. It was fucking awesome. Anyways, stay cool.